I've just finished knitting the cuff for my quadruple sweater for the first sleeve. So now I have to change to the larger size needle and I have to increase on this first row. So I've got the smaller needle in my left hand and my new needle, the larger one in the right hand, whatever your gauge needle was in the right hand. For my size, I have to knit 3 stitches and then make 1. So you'll follow whatever the instructions say for your size. But a make 1 increase is worked as follows. You're going to lift up this horizontal bar that's laying between the 2 needles. So right here I've got a horizontal bar. I'm going to lift it onto my left hand needle from front to back. So my needle goes into that bar from the front towards the back. And then with my right hand needle, I'm going to knit through the back of that new stitch that's on the left hand needle. And then I'm going to knit my stitches in between again. So knit the 3. And then I'm going to work another make 1. So I'm lifting up the horizontal bar that's between the 2 columns of stitches, one on the right needle, one on the left, and I'm lifting it up from front to back to make a make 1 left. And then one of my other tricks that I do, I tend to pull down on the fabric so that I can get into the back of the stitch a little more easily. It's a tight increase that it's meant to twist the stitch closed, so it is very tight. So sometimes pulling a little bit on the fabric helps loosen up that space. Okay, so I've got another make 1 coming. So I'm going to lift it up from front to back onto the left hand needle and knit through the back. If it's tight, it's right. And if you prefer, this is the make 1 left. If you prefer to work a make 1 right, that's fine. You can work make 1 rights across the piece. That's totally acceptable. It's either or. So I'm lifting up from front to back, that horizontal bar, and then knitting through the back to create the make 1 increase. If I went through the front, I would end up with a huge hole. So that's why you don't want to go into the part that feels loose. If it's too easy to get into that stitch, you're likely doing it incorrectly. Okay, so that I think was my 4th increase. But let's check. For every increase, you have 3 knit stitches and the make 1. So it's groups of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then here would be the 5th that I've done. And now I'm going to switch to continental style so that knitters who knit continentally can see it. For continental, I tend to lift up the bar with my right needle, but then enter it with the left needle from front to back. So my right needle is helping me a little bit. I have a little bit more control with my right hand. So my right needle does a little bit of assistance here. It lifts up the bar, but it's important to still go under that bar from front to back with the left hand needle. So even if your right needle is helping out, your left needle still has to enter the piece. If you're having trouble getting in with continental, you can take your pointer finger and open up the bar as I'm doing here. Turn the stitch, kind of push it to the back, and that helps you get in a little bit more. So that's how I would do this continentally. So you lift it up and knit through the back. Okay. So for my size, I think I needed 8 increases. This, I believe, is the 8th. And I will double check again. But remember, whatever you're knitting, in terms of the stitches, you'll have 1 additional stitch for the increase. So it's groups of 4 in my case, make up the repetition. There we go, and then I knit to the end of the row. And now I've finished knitting off of my smaller needle, so I'm going to put that down and out of the way. Now I'm on my size 11 and I have my stitch count. Happy knitting!